Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Shauna's Spilling the Presley Tea. This has been a crazy, crazy read, hasn't it, folks? All this lawsuit stuff and legal jargon and all this stuff. Goodness sakes. So we're going to start where we last left off. And remember, folks, this show, as in all my shows, are for entertainment purposes only, okay? I don't sugarcoat anything. I say what is on my mind. I say my own opinions. I do my own research, period. Which is so funny because somebody asked me a couple weeks ago, sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. No, I'm not sick, guys. My allergies are really bothering me, though. It's pretty dry here. It hasn't rained for probably about almost 2 months. It's horrible. But anyways, somebody a little while ago asked me who my researchers were. Me, myself, and I. That's basically it. I do my own research, guys. Every once in a while, somebody will send me a story or, hey, Shauna, check this out, or this or that. But most of the research of the in-depth stuff is what I do myself. So I just thought I'd put it out there. Somebody asked, so that's the answer to your question. Also, it is based on my opinions with my research, okay? I am going to read stuff. I'm going to watch stuff. I'm going to give you my opinion, my reaction, you know. So that's just how my channel is. It's based on my research and my personal opinion, and also the opinion of others, like people like you guys in the comment section below. Every video, I really enjoy reading all y'all's comments. I do. I try to get to each and every one. I answer the ones that are really, really important that I need to answer. But thanks, guys. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even be here. Really. I appreciate all y'all's love and support. But anyways, let's go to where we last stopped here. Move the camera. It's right here. Says here that additionally on information on belief, Priscilla has directed Scylla to circumvent PPK2 and make payments for its use of her name, image, and likeness directly to Priscilla instead of PPK2. Priscilla thus induced Scylla to breach the Scylla endorsement agreement, which requires such payments to go directly to PPK2. So they're trying to sell Priscilla brand, but she breached the endorsement agreement by inducing Scylla someplace else. Do you guys understand? So Brigitte and Fialko are exploiting the name Priscilla. But Priscilla wanted to get out of their agreement, so she thought going to somebody else and then doing the same thing but with Scylla, which not as known as the other one, but whatever. The next one states that Priscilla withdrew funds without authorization from Florida bank accounts set up for PPK2 recollections and virtual recollections and closed the account, causing business disruption. So she went into the joint bank account and took it all out. Don't trust this viper. So Priscilla breached the operating agreements of 3 companies by withdrawing these funds without authorization and by retaining the funds in violation of the waterfall distribution structure of each operating agreement. So she's breached contract. Next part is, on information and belief, Priscilla is also cooperating with and assisting Graceland's use of her name, image, and likeness. Priscilla knows that Graceland's use of her name, image, and likeness competes with and undermines PPP and virtual recollection, plan to create a virtual museum using Presley's name, image, and likeness. Priscilla receives a monthly stipend from a trust, the Promenade Trust. which receives funds for the trust that operates Graceland. So help me out here. I don't understand this part. I thought Graceland was through with Priscilla. I thought they removed her wedding dress and stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments below, because that's what I thought. I really, really thought that they removed her dress and a few other things. So correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But if Graceland is using her name, image, and likeness, they're giving money to her out of the twins and Riley's trust. That's awful. Remember how every time Michael Asshat Lockwood takes money from the twins, we always say he's a loser, that he has to take money from his kids' trust? Well, I feel the same way for their Nona. Their Nona's taking money out of the children's trust. Awful. So yeah, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought her dress and stuff was gone. On information and belief, Priscilla has accepted and is continuing to accept other offers to exploit her name, image, and likeness. So she's not telling them where she's going. She's not telling them how much she's making. She's not telling them of offers. She's doing all this on her own accord. So this is a breach of contract, guys. It totally is. All conditions precedent in this action have occurred, been satisfied, or have been waived. Plaintiffs have retained the undersigned counsel and are obligated to pay the reasonable attorney's fees and costs incurred in this matter. So everybody's going to be paying their own attorney costs, which we all know. Priscilla loves to smack people with paying for her attorney costs, right? And do you guys think that maybe she's going to write Riley and go, Riley, could you please pay for my attorney fees for this? I cannot pay. Who knows? The next part is called Causes of Action. A first claim for relief. Fraud in the inducement of Kruse Fialko against Presley. All right. On more than one occasion in 2022, defendant Presley represented that she owned the right to exploit her name, image, and likeness. On information and belief, defendant Presley specifically failed to ever mention that she had previously entered into a purchase and sale agreement with EPE for the right to exploit her name, image, and likeness in exchange for a payment of $6.5 million, which she's already spent, by the way. This was a long time ago. She already spent it. Defendant Presley's representations and the failure to disclose that she previously sold her last name to EPE were false or were made recklessly without regard for the truth, because she can't tell the truth. We discovered that last night in a year-old video of the Evening with Priscilla of her rewriting history of how the day Lisa died. So she does this. The truth according to her. All right. Now, they wanted to invest money into defendant Presley's brand. They wanted to rescue her from financial ruin. Plaintiffs Kruse and Fialko did reasonably justifiably rely on defendant Presley's representations by, among other things, paying for Presley's tax attorney. Wow. So they paid for Priscilla's tax attorney. Wow. Retaining counsel to renegotiate defendant Presley's deal on the Priscilla film. Purchasing various Elvis Presley memorabilia for defendant Presley's benefit. Really? That part is interesting. Let me read it again to you. Purchasing various Elvis Presley memorabilia for defendant Presley's benefit. Wow. What memorabilia? And what did she get out of it? That is very interesting. That is new. That is new. Paying to form companies to go into business with defendant Presley, ultimately growing defendant Presley's brand. They said that they had been aware of the falsity of the defendant Presley's representations. If they were aware, they would not have taken the actions in reliance on those representations. So basically, if they knew now, well, if they knew then what they knew now, they wouldn't have done any of this. Well, yeah, they put a lot of time, money, sweat, and tears in Priscilla. And what do they have for it? Nothing. She ran away, folks. As a direct proximate result of defendant Presley's fraudulent conduct, plaintiffs Kruse and Fialko have suffered damages in the amount not currently known, but in excess of $50 million, according to proof. Plaintiffs Kruse and Fialko are informed and believe and base therein allege that defendant Presley, in doing the things alleged, acted willfully, maliciously, oppressively, and despicably, with full knowledge of the adverse effect of her actions on them, and with the willful, deliberate disregard of the consequences on them. By reason thereof, plaintiffs are entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages, from defendant Presley in an amount appropriate to punish defendant Presley, or to set an example of her to deter her from engaging in such conduct in the future. So basically, they want money because they spent money, and she needs to pay them that money because they think that if she pays them that money, it would deter her from engaging in doing what she has done in the past in the future. I get that. Kruse and Fialko claimed that defendant Presley owes them money for services rendered. Defendant Presley requested by both words and conduct that plaintiffs Kruse and Fialko perform various services for her, including negotiating a complicated settlement for the defendant Presley involving her late daughter, Lisa Marie Presley's estate, which involved complicated negotiations with defendant Presley's granddaughter, Riley Keough. Defendant Presley also demanded that plaintiffs facilitate and settlement payment for her son, Navarone, and that they otherwise negotiate numerous deals for her financial benefit. I just hate that part. I just wish Navarone got nothing. He deserves nothing. He did nothing for nothing. Plaintiffs Kruse and Fialko did perform these services as requested. Presley has not paid plaintiffs for their services. Defendant Presley has not paid for the reasonable value of the services that plaintiffs provided. Next part, third claim for relief, conversion, PPP, K2 against Presley. Presley is a non-managing member of PPP, K2. Presley misappropriated PPP, K2 funds by withdrawing funds from the account in Palm Beach, Florida, without authorization. Presley then closed the account, causing business disruption. That's so shady. That's so snake in the grass, isn't it, guys? Wow. Now some more legal jargon. I'm skipping it because it doesn't say anything. They just want Priscilla to they want Presley. They're saying that Presley has refused to return these funds, and they really want it back. Plus, they want the $50 million. You know what I'm saying? With the actions of Priscilla, it says that the company PPP 2 have suffered damages. They seek a judgment against Presley for conversion, awarding all damages and interest together with such other further relief as this court deems appropriate. Next part, fourth claim for relief, conversion, recollections against Presley. Defendant Presley is a non-managing member of Recollections. Defendant Presley misappropriated Recollection funds by withdrawing funds again from this bank account in Palm Beach, Florida, without authorization. Wow. The funds belong to Recollections. Therefore, Priscilla should not take any out. Wow. Priscilla had no right to withdraw the funds under Recollections operating agreement or any other agreement. No member shall have the right to participate in the control of the business and affair of the company, transact any business of for the company. Wow. Now they're doing percentages. The Recollection percentages is Kruse 47, Fialko 10, Presley 43. According to Defendant Presley's wrongfully asserted dominion over Recollection's property, Presley actions were inconsistent with Recollection ownership of its funds. Presley has refused to return these funds when requested by Recollections for further demands for the return of the funds. Isn't that stealing, guys? See. Says, Recollections seek entry of a judgment against Presley for conversion, awarding all damages and interest together with such other further relief as the court deems appropriate. Next is the fourth claim, virtual recollections against Priscilla. It says, Priscilla is a non-managing member of Virtual Recollections. Priscilla withdrew money from the bank account Palm Springs, Florida without authorization. Although Defendant Presley was a signatory on the account with access rights, the funds belong to Virtual Recollections, not to Priscilla. But Priscilla's like, but my name's on it. I can have it, right? It's so stealing, Priscilla. You're a thief. You stole from the company. It violates payment distribution structure, and the percentages for the virtual recollections are as follows: Kruse 40, Fialko 40, Presley 20. Now remember, I asked Brigitte this question. Can you explain to me why in some of these cases you have more percentage than Priscilla? And she answered. She said it's because they put most of the money in to make these businesses, and Priscilla didn't put nothing in. So basically, she's just getting free money for doing nothing. And they're doing all the work and putting all the money, their money in. So that's why in some instances, they're going to have a higher percentage than Priscilla, because she's done nothing. Defendant Presley has refused to return these funds to Virtual Recollections. So it's three different things. She stole money out of account that brings money in for three different types of things, guys. And she took the money and closed the accounts and ran. Not good at all. The sixth claim for relief, the breach of the PPP operating agreement, PPP against Presley. Defendant Presley entered into PPP operating agreement with PPP. In the PPP agreement and the acknowledgement incorporated and attached to the PPP operating agreement, Defendant Presley assigned and licensed to PPP in perpetuity all rights relative to Presley's name, image, and likeness, including the exclusive rights to use, develop, protect, exploit, license, sublicense, assign rights in, or to Presley's NIL, which is name, image, and likeness. Any member shall be free to pursue opportunities in a similar space without being prohibited by the terms of this agreement, regardless of whether said opportunity include other members and or managers or limited liability companies or like entities, provided, however, that any of all development, commercial exploitation, licensing, sub-licensing, and or assignment of rights in or to Presley's name, image, and likeness must be accomplished through the company by action of its managers. Meaning, Priscilla was never a manager. It was always Fialko and Brigitte. So what she's doing was a breach, big time. Breach of contract and stealing money from the company. Not good. The PPP operating agreement also provides that members may engage in business and investment activities outside the company that are not competitive with the company. And neither the company nor the other members have any rights to the property, profits, or benefits of such activity, which is so strange because ever since she left Brigitte, that's all she's been doing. She's been going and getting money for her name, image, and likeness from other competitive companies because she don't want to deal with her business partners at hand. So Presley breached these provisions by exploiting her name, image, and likeness apart from PPP and its authorized sub-licensee, and by competing with PPP. She did so by, among other things, excluding PPP and virtual recollections from Priscilla premiere movie, thus excluding them from the opportunity to promote merchandise in conjunction with the film. She had her face participating in the NBC's Christmas at Graceland without including PPP or virtual recollections, thus including them from opportunity to promote merchandise and other NIL products in connection with the production. On information of belief cooperating with and assisting Graceland's exploitation of her name, image, and likeness, participating in public appearances and events throughout the country where she sells her name, image, and likeness related products, including on information and belief, photo ops, autographs, memorabilia signing, and voice recordings. Excluding PPP and virtual recollections from Priscilla's public appearances and events throughout the country, thus excluding them from an opportunity to promote merchandise based on Presley's name, image, and likeness, and sell NFTs, audiobooks, and other digital assets. Continuing to accept offers for future public appearances without including PPP or virtual recollections. As a direct result of Presley's ongoing breach of PPP operating agreement, PPP has suffered and continues to suffer damages in an amount to be determined at trial. PPP suffered this harm to its business at its principal place of business in Florida. PPP harm is irreparable. Monetary relief alone would be inadequate to remedy the ongoing harm that PPP faces from Presley's ongoing exploitation of her name, image, and likeness in breach of her duties under the PPP agreement. The entry of an injunction would serve the public interest. They want their damages. They want their money. They deserve their money. They never got paid for any of the work they did for her. It's an ongoing thing. It's just, wow. I am skipping a part here because it's just percentages still and talking about the businesses. And that she took that money out of the account, which really hurt them. That's thievery, by the way. Look on. I'm scrolling down to the best part here. Okay. So where are we in my in-depth part? Okay. So here we go. What was already in the August filing? Here it is. Fraud, breach of contract, interference tied to work the pair say they did for Priscilla after Lisa Marie's death, especially brokering peace with Riley Keough that yielded $2.4 million for Priscilla and a 7-figure arrangement for Navarone. Priscilla allegedly cut them out. She says they defrauded and elderly abused her, but they didn't, guys. They did not. Plaintiffs seek $50 million in damages, as I said above, and say Priscilla hid that she'd earlier sold certain name image rights previously. Priscilla flatly disputes this claim. Of course she does. I didn't do anything. Categorical denials by Priscilla and a rare joint statement with Riley Keough, calling the new accusations deeply hurtful and despicable. But you know what I think is very confusing about this, guys? If I hear it from Riley, I'll believe it. But Riley hasn't said anything herself. The statement, Priscilla's lawyer said that Riley was behind Priscilla. Am I going to believe Marty Singer? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. The only time I'm going to believe Riley in any of this is if she says it out of her own mouth, guys, because I don't believe that she is. In fact, I know for a fact that Brigitte and Fialko's lawyer said Riley will be called to the stand. And I'm sure Riley does not want to perjure herself for her Nona. So we have to see how that goes. Also, somebody asked me in the last video I did, how can Riley stand behind her Nona? And then a few people were like, well, family's family. You got to forgive them no matter what. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. If people are bad to you, even family members, you can cut them out. You can take that evilness out. I'll give you an example. When I was a little girl, I told you guys that I was a victim of SA as a small child. So I really have empathy for how Lisa felt when she was a child. I felt that. I was there too, in my own way, because I had went through it as well. And the person that was involved was very close to the family and was almost a family member. And whoop, bye-bye. There was also my dad's sister who stole money and my father's inheritance from him, and he took her to court for years until we couldn't afford it anymore, because in the end, all you're paying is the lawyers, right? Well, anyways, my dad cut his sister out, and he never talked to her again for almost never. I mean, he cut her out back in 1985, and he never talked to her again. In fact, when he died in 2008, she was not allowed to be at the funeral. I'm sure with God, and my dad was a godly man, I'm sure that he forgave her to God in his heart, but he did not want her to step upon the carpet of our home. So you can cut family members out. I don't understand keeping the peace all the time if one person is really hurting you the most. I'll give you another example. I didn't want to go political or one side versus another side, but this is a very good example of this. And thank you, Jack Doe, out there for pointing this out. But I always wondered why Riley couldn't cut off Priscilla for the evilness that she has done, especially maybe finding out that she, took her mother off life support prematurely or something like that. We got to get to the court hearing to get to that part. But my point is this: you can cut a family member out, because recently, one example, the man that killed Charlie Kirk, his own family turned him in. Do you see what I'm saying? The man that killed Charlie Kirk, his family, his dad, turned him in. Let that sink in. And let's go back to Riley. What do you think it will take for her to quit being the peacemaker, guys? Tell me in the comment section below. Because I'm telling you straight up, if somebody is evil to you, family members, friends, close acquaintances, and they're doing you harm, physically, mentally, making you feel anguish, it's okay to cut them out. It's okay to remove yourself from them. Didn't Lisa remove herself from her own mother for about 8 years? Didn't she? So I don't understand Riley. I keep trying to understand the family dynamic, but it confuses me. But if Priscilla and Marty Singer are saying Riley is saying this with them, I don't believe it unless it comes out of Riley's mouth and Riley's mouth alone, because we know Priscilla lies. And we also know that Priscilla's lawyer, Marty Singer, makes money from lying. So unless I hear it from Riley herself, I don't believe it. Also, Priscilla's separate 2024 suit accused Kruse Fialko of financial elder abuse and highly one-sided IP contracts. Important because it frames the $50 million case as retaliatory. Boy, that's a tongue twister. Likely legal friction points. Why these new claims matter. Relevance and prejudice. Elvis's death. Plaintiffs are not Elvis's heirs and cannot plausibly bring a late wrongful death type claim from 1977. Expect Priscilla to move to strike these passages as irrelevant background under California procedure. So we're going to hope she can't strike it. But then again, that was 48 years ago. What we're interested in is what she has done recently with Lisa. And a possible anti-slap if used to color public statements. The point of the allegations may be to paint a decades-long pattern, bolstering fraud, punitive damage claims, not to recover for Elvis's death itself. Yeah. The Graceland lien allegation and how it supposedly affected Elvis's health will face steep limitation and obstacles because according to California law, they actually have to, we'll have to see if that's going to stick, guys. We're going to have to see if that can be used as evidence because it says that unless the plaintiffs can tie it to their contracts and damages, a judge could take it back. But everything Brigitte has, she told me she has proof of. In fact, if she's talking about Elvis and Priscilla's divorce, don't you think she has the paperwork? Don't you think she possibly has Elvis's deposition of what he says about Priscilla? You know? So I think she does. I think she has all this old legal paperwork from the past. I think she does because they actually let Brigitte go through all that stuff to help Priscilla. So Priscilla's like, here's all my files. You can go through it if it helps you. And Brigitte's in the files, so maybe she's making copies. But I know she was. It's just crazy. Litigation, privilege versus defamation. Anything said in the pleadings is generally privileged in California. Only extra jury representation risk defamation exposure. That dynamic cuts both ways as the media circles heat up. So there's going to be litigation. That is a given. Now, here is a theory. The core money claims still turn on who did what in the 2023 settlement and the deals. and what the parties actually agreed to. Not on 1970 history. The amended rhetoric may be aimed at punitive damages and leverage rather than expanding compensation heads of loss. So they want punitive damages. Well, we'll see what happens with that too. Let me go down a little bit more. All right. She has done this 10 times. There are 11 causes of the companies. There's 11 of them, guys. 12. And they're still talking about her taking money out of the account. Just wow. Oh, Priscilla, you woven a web. You took money out of accounts. You've lied. You've schemed. You've sold your whole soul. And for what? For money. Money is very important to her. We have established this. But it's just sad that that's just how that's how she lives. It's just sad that that's all she thinks about. Okay, guys, that's it for me this evening. I hope you can decipher some of what we've read tonight. Please tell me in the comment section below what you think. I'll get to your questions as soon as I can if you have any. But my gosh, we're only on page 39, guys, and there's 156 pages. I keep thinking to myself, I'm just gonna scroll down through legal jargon until I get to the nitty-gritty stuff. I've been trying to do the best I can for you guys because I want to know what the nitty-gritty is. I don't care about who has this percentage, who has this. I just want to know what's being alleged. That's important. But anyways, guys, you could have went to any Elvis channel for your lawsuit information and my thoughts, but you didn't. Go to mine. And for that, I love each and every one of you for it. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow night, I'm going to try and do my reaction to Priscilla doing an interview for People magazine. Yeah, she has another video doing for People. And I want to have a reaction video for you because she says some, you'll see. I'll get it done for you tomorrow night, okay, guys? And Friday is my live, so don't forget to be on my live. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun night because we're going to talk about more of this stuff. Yeah, we'll get back to the lawsuit on Monday, okay? We have as much time as we want to go over these documents. It's not a big hurry. But it just gives us an idea that the only thing Priscilla cares about is money. That's all she cares about. That's all that matters to her anyway. So yeah, that's it, guys. I love y'all. Just know that I'm working for everybody. I'm getting all the facts in and bringing it out to you as I see them. All right. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Okay. TCBTLC. God bless you all. And you know what? I'll see you on the other side. And tomorrow night, of course. Bye, guys. God bless y'all. Be safe out there and watch your back, okay? There's crazy people out there. All right now. Love y'all. Bye.